My name is Maria Carrion, author of Fighting All Battles into Success, transformational speaker, and life and success coach. I want to start by sharing a little bit about my story when I was raised in Puerto Rico with my grandmother and my mother until the age of 10. At 10 years old, I moved back to New York City with my mother, who lived with 3 other boys and a girl, so we were all 5 together. My mother was a sick woman. She had heart issues as well as other medical conditions. Sadly, my mother did pass. But before that happened, she removed me from the school system and partnered me with a 21-year-old man who promised her that he was going to keep me safe, that he was going to make sure that since I was removed from the school system to partner with him, that he was going to let me go back to school and get an education. Instead, he broke that promise to my mom. But my mom was no longer here to protect me. He abused me physically, emotionally, and sexually. And in terms, I started having children. I had children at 14, my first one, at 16, at 18. And by the time I was 22 years old, I had 4 children to care for. A responsibility of an adult that I started making my responsibility at such an early age. It seemed like my education and my career was far away, never to find. But what I did was I started educating myself in silence, reading books, writing, educating myself in secret little by little. And I started having children. I started going to the library with them. So I took advantage of having children to go to the library with them and educate myself. And we spent hours and hours in the library. The more children I had, the more time we spent at the library. I took the GED test approximately 10 times. And every time I failed the practice test, which was preventing me to take the real test. But I never gave up. I kept on until I did pass it. Once I obtained my GED degree, I continued my education and went to the College of New Rochelle, actually to Monroe College first, to get my associate's degree in occupational studies and office administration and word processing. With that, I was able to get a well-paying job and get off the welfare system. But when I thought that things were getting better, they were getting more difficult to obtain. Why? Because now I had a well-paying job, but I had to stretch every little bit of money to be able to afford going to college, afford paying rent, paying the rest of the bills, providing for my children and for myself as a single parent. I just thank God that this man went to jail. after over 9 years of my life. And I took advantage of that moment to educate myself. With a lot of effort, I was able to accomplish the things that I have done to date. I was able to get off the welfare system and get a well-paying job. Made it all the way to Deputy Director of the Administration for Children's Services in the Preventive and Foster Care Unit. Later, after my kids were grown and I spent over 14 years in the Administration for Children's Services, I resigned and moved to Massachusetts for greater opportunities. And I got into the business of real estate. I was successful in that too. I'm still being successful, I would say. It's still running. But it wasn't my dream. It wasn't what filled me in here. I needed to do more. And I went back to school to be a mental health clinician. Unfortunately, due to medical conditions of Hashimoto's, hypothyroidism, and fibromyalgia, flares attacking all the time, unexpectedly, I was spending thousands of dollars to be a mental health clinician. Not only it was going to take me years to do it with being in a full-time job, but I knew I had to do it. My point in all of this is to tell you that no matter what circumstances you are in, no matter what is it that you want to achieve, even if it looks like it is impossible, if you believe with all your gut that you can do it, you will. And the first thing I had to do to be successful was to change my attitude. I changed my attitude from scarcity of knowledge to an abundance of knowledge. I educated myself through books and was able to not only learn the English language, but go to college and get a career, and later on be successful in the real estate business. The attitude means all. Believe it with all your gut and you will achieve it. But you have to work hard, because every successful person in this life didn't do things because they were easy. No, they didn't do things because they were easy. They failed many times. They struggle just like we do. But we don't know the inside job. We never do. We don't know what people go through inside doors. I spend many hours studying to just learn the language. In my quiet moments when my kids were asleep. But I had to change that attitude and really believe that I was able to do that. Another thing that I realized that I had to change in my life was my communication. The fact that I was embarrassed because I had a very strong accent limited many opportunities. The communication is imperative in order for you to be successful. Not only in your personal development life, in your professional life, in your relationships, your careers, your jobs, everything. And I learned to communicate and ask. And not just asking. I was asking to understand. And if I didn't understand, I will ask, can you please rephrase that? Until I did. I had a very hard time understanding. So sometimes I had to listen to it in a different way. But that goes to say that our communication also right now affects our business, our relationships, because it's not what we say, it's how we say it sometimes. But I've also learned that to be successful in life. And another thing is financial. I advise people to invest in themselves, even if it's just a little bit at a time. When I was raising my children and was taking welfare, depending on that welfare check, I needed $12 to purchase my GED book. And it was so hard for me to make that decision, but I knew I had to. Those $12 would feed my kids for breakfast for a whole week back in the days. But instead, I got my GED book, I spent my $12, and I made adjustments in my life to be able to afford the book and for my kids to have everything they needed on a daily basis as well. So sometimes what we have to do is just reflect on everything that you're doing, everything that you're spending money on, and make it happen. And back then, I was only able to invest $12. But today, I am able to invest a little bit more. But what I'm trying to say is you have to start somewhere. And believe that it can be possible. So invest in yourself. It is so important to invest in yourself. And the other one that I want to talk about is I wouldn't be able to do the things I did without having gratitude. Getting up early in the morning, the first thing I did was be grateful. I was grateful, and I still am, to get up in the morning and open my eyes. And to just be able to sit down and have a plan. And know that I have a plan. And not only be grateful for where I stand here today, but also grateful from where I came from. For all the things that I went through. Why? Because it is the person that made us today. The past does not define us. It doesn't. But our choices do. Because that's the one thing that nobody can take away from us. Our choices. They can tell me anything they want of the things that I cannot do. But I choose. What can I do? And another thing that I want to express is grasp on every necessary knowledge. Equip yourself with the necessary knowledge to accomplish the things that you're dreaming of. I am here to tell you that I am not the expert at anything. I am not the expert at writing books, but I educate myself on how to do it. And yes, I know that there's AI out there. And I educate myself on AI now. But I make sure that I know what I'm talking about when I'm in public. And I might have notes. But it's my story, it's what I believe in, and it's what I can teach you from the bottom of my heart. That if you follow all these strategies, all these habits, if you shift your mind and create new habits to achieve your goals, you will. Find the purpose. Find your purpose. We all have a purpose. My purpose years ago was my children. I wanted to be able to be there for my children. I wanted to be able to advocate for them in school, to go to teachers and parents conference and be active in their life. I didn't want to be the parent that says, I don't know how to read or write English. I cannot help you. No. I wanted to be the parent that was going to be there for their children no matter what. Even if that took me learning with them. And it's exactly what I did. So find your purpose. Another thing that is so important that helped me throughout the years was personal development. And when I talk about personal development, I mean that you need to eat healthy. You need to sleep well. And you need to exercise. Most importantly, take time for yourself to reflect, meditate, stay in that quiet space, do yoga, whatever that is, but take time for yourself to reflect and to find yourself again and to think and do things better. And another thing is time management. With 4 kids, school, full-time job, plus selling Mary Kay, selling food, selling wood furniture, miniature furniture. It's a little side hustle that I had. I was able to accomplish everything, but with time management. I had a time for everything. Everything is in my calendar. I advise you to put not only your meetings and your chats in the calendar. Every single blank space that you have in your calendar, you should have something for that time. Write down 10 things that are important. Do the important things. And the things that were not that important, take them to the next day. In your next calendar day. And self-discipline. You need to have a self-discipline that no matter what storm you encounter, no matter how many rocks are thrown at you and you are in pain, no matter how hard that wind blows and throws you back, keep moving forward and you will not regret it. If any of this resonates with you, I want you to take this with you today. You are important. You matter. You are capable of doing great, amazing things, not only for yourself, but for other people as well. If you are interested in shifting your mindset and creating new habits that will ultimately help you achieve your goals, send me a DM. Or if you want, you can send me an email at Maria Carrion, Author Services LLC @gmail.com. Have a wonderful life and create new habits. Have a great one.